Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome to Fantasia. For today, we're going to be jumping into another session of Epic 7L today. Got some more RTA clips for you guys. So let's go on over to our battle logs, and we're going to take a look at the two most recent matches that I had. Both these players were champion players, high-ranked champion players. And we're going to jump into this first one here. So this guy's from the European server, and both of these matches are going to feature Ilanov. She is carrying me super hard in this high-ranked matches against these players, and you'll be surprised as to how well she does. So, going into this first match here, my opponent gets first pick, and oh, was I salty when they picked that DJB, because I really like having him in most of my matches. Well, with that DJB on the other side, decided to go for Yolha for my damage mitigation, and I followed up with Spectre Tenebria, just thinking like, okay, well my opponent has to burst through Yolha to get the Spectre, and if they go for AoEs, I can at least mitigate a bunch of damage. I didn't want to go for Arwell, because the DJB could get free barrier inversion, and my Crimson Armin is actually on a barrier set, a protection set, so yeah, that wouldn't be too good either. So I went for Yolha, because she gets a barrier when she's low, but when she's low, she's probably going to pop something anyway. So that's my reasoning there. My opponent follows up with 2 injury units. I was quite surprised. A Ravi and Alencia getting snatched up, probably to try to burst down this Yolha's health. Decreasing her max health means that her S3 is basically useless, and she'll just be here just soaking up damage and not be doing much. Well, in response to that, I picked an injury unit of my own. We picked Ilanov because not only is she neutral into a Ravi, but she has elemental advantage into the Alencia. The main reason I actually built her up is because when my opponent picks Alencia, it's really hard for me to find a counter pick into her, but Ilanov has been working quite well. I end up going for a Destina too, just in case, for that little bit of CR pushing, cleansing, and healing, and of course the fail-safe revive. If the opponent bursts down Yolha really early on, Destina can revive and Yolha will be able to take the turn with low health and pop an S3. Now, unfortunately, my opponent went for an ML Leica and a Straze here. ML Leica is super annoying because when she soul burns and ignores res, she can just obliterate a unit like Destina, for example. So really couldn't afford to let her through. And so I just picked the force ban unit, which is Acoli, because Acoli would have been faster than all the units on my opponent's team, and it would have been a force ban. Otherwise, I can ban one of the fast units, and Acoli can pick off the other one. So my opponent banned the Acoli. I banned the ML Leica because, as I mentioned, Destina could go down, whereas Straze would always deal the most damage into Yolha, and that means Destina can still revive her, and we'll still be in the game. Right, so DJB gets to go first. It looks like the Alencia and the A-Ravi are pretty far back. However, with a quick little push from the S3, yeah, he's going to be able to push everybody up. So Straze gets to go. Now, no attack buff on the Straze, and my Yolha's sitting around 29, almost 30k health. So she actually doesn't go down here and pops off her barrier. DJB had just gone, so there's no real fear of a barrier inversion. Luckily, that barrier is going to protect me from Alencia's damage, although she does strip the barrier here, unfortunately. 50-50, given that Mind's Eye is 50% effectiveness, and my Yolha is about 100 resist. A-Ravi's gonna try to injury down the Yolha, and we're just gonna rip that S3. Now, I thought about popping into DJB, but I thought, why would I when I can get rid of one of the DPS? Straze has his invincibility, so I thought, let's go into Alencia. She's probably the squishiest out of the bunch. And yeah, dealing 20k free damage, where Ilanov can come in and just finish things off. So we're going to slam that S3 down, kill that Alencia, and now my Destina gets to go. So if I heal the Yolha and push her up, it's not really going to do all too much, so I decided to push up the Ilanov. With Ilanov here, she has her crit damage buff, gaining that 50% combat readiness. I was like, hey, why not just go and put some damage into this A-Ravi? Soul Burn to get that extra damage. Look at that injury that's piled up on her. And my Spectre Tenebria has that crit damage buff, which is going to help quite a bit. Especially because I am on lifesteal, so any little extra damage means more health. Heal back a little bit, hitting that DJB. He's not looking too good. Guardian Ice Crystal saving my Yoha there with a little bit more health. So Straze pops the SS2 and tries to deal more damage, strips the buffs off everybody, which is quite strong, but Spectre now is untouchable, essentially. Ravi, because we got that soul-burned injury damage from the Ilanov, Destina actually manages to live. Yeah, that Ravi didn't have that much health on her anymore. So with the Ilanov, I decided, okay, let's go for a Straze hit. I don't want to push up that Ravi. And that was basically it. Destina could have popped her S3. Spectre Tenebria would have been super safe, and she would have gone next anyway. And we would have been able to take out that Straze. We had Soul Burns left as well, so we were in a pretty good position. Alright, and last but not least, we have our second match here of Ilanov just saving my butt. This time, the tables have turned. My opponent first picks and goes for a Yoha. It's as if they were watching the previous match unfold. So in response, I went for an Arwell and a DJB. DJB, again, I can kind of barrier invert that Yoha when she gets very low, and Arwell is just a great damage mitigation unit. She can't really mitigate Yoha's S3 because it ignores damage share, but Arwell is pretty good at providing a barrier, which adds like pseudo health bars to like my opponent, or sorry, my own units that my opponent has to burst through, right? So Arwell wasn't too bad here. My opponent ends up following up with an Ahmed and a Spectre Tenebria, so now I'm a little concerned. Again, Ahmed with that skill nullifier for the whole team is super strong, plus her CR pushing, and the fact that they're usually built faster than my DJB is not really looking too great. They follow up with the Spectre Tenebria, so I have to pick some form of AoE, so I go for Landy. Now, Landy here is pretty fast, 257 speed, same as my DJB, so when she has 3s, it's going to push up my entire team, and DJB can also push up as well if I need it. And I follow up with an Ilanov, because I thought, hey, why not? I get some injury damage into the Yoha if I need it, I have the AoE into the Spectre Tenebria, and I can give my Landy a crit damage buff. So, in the end, not too bad. But then my opponent goes for the Milim and the Rylot play, which I'm starting to see a lot of now. Milim and Rylot again for the extra burst damage, really strong hitting units. Milim can also dispel stealth, which means that Landy becomes really vulnerable. And of course Rylot with his S3 can just burst down anyone he really wants. So with that in mind, I decided, okay, my opponent doesn't really have a cleanser outside of Ahmed. So I could just go for a Solitaria. It prevents Rylot from getting his focus stacks, and Milim as well, so it had to be the Force Ban. These types of drafts work really well when you can force your opponent to ban your last pick, so that is what we ended up doing. And then I banned the Ahmed, leaving my opponent with 3 DPSs and a Knight. So jumping into this match here, DJB got to go first, and there's no barrier for me to invert, which is fine. So I decided to just push up the team here and just take some pot shots at everybody. Got the Landy going next, got the Ilanov going after, so we're looking quite good. Landy actually gets a bit of her fighting spirit because the opponent does have a few buffs on their side. Now, I miss on the Rylot, perfectly fine. Pop Ilanov's S3. And we missed on the Milim with Landy because the elemental disadvantage. But look at that, we missed again, 20% chance for that Milim to dodge, and we managed to miss again. I thought you can't miss Milim a 3rd time in a row, so let's go ahead and hit her with the Arwell, and we do manage to snag that stun. Now look at the turn order. Milim is going last, which means that Landy's stealth will not actually be dispelled until after everyone else goes. And Spectre, Yoha, and Rylot are all single target units, so Landy's going to be quite safe. Everyone also has immunity, so Spectre can't stun anyone. And now it's Yoha's turn. She is getting injury down a little bit, so she doesn't have enough damage to really pop off her S3. She could have ripped it into Ilanov and dealt a little extra damage for this Rylot to maybe finish her off, but he didn't. Went for the Soul Burn on the S1 to take another turn, so you can see here, if I miss one more time on him, he's going to get that full focus bar and get another S3 off, which is very smart. So he goes for the Ilanov, and again, if he popped the Yoha into the Ilanov earlier, probably would have gotten that kill, but I guess they didn't look that far ahead into it, and yeah, we're looking pretty good. Hit the Milim, she is on counter, healing quite a bit with that counter there, over 2,000 health back. Ilanov gets to take the turn. I thought, okay, Ilanov's really the only unit here that can take out this Milim. Landy is probably going to miss on her because of her Dragon's Eye giving 20% evasion on top of elemental disadvantage, so 70% chance to miss. So I soul burned Ilanov and I said, this is all or nothing, we have to kill the Milim. End up going for her, and we take her out, which is quite nice. She never got a turn. She did dispel Landy's stealth when her turn began, when she was stunned before. So Landy now is just popping her S3. We miss on the Rylet, we kill the Spectre, and boom, Yolha pops off as well. Rylet goes into the DJB, but thankfully, with Arwell's mitigation, you can tell by the initial hit that it wasn't going to kill. Yeah, we're still looking pretty good. And again, look what I said earlier, right? Yolha with that barrier, DJB inverting it, dealing damage of his own, and now we're just face down with a single Rylet. All we gotta do is get lucky with some form of a hit here, especially if Arwell hits, which she does, stripping both of his buffs, the attack buff and the evasion, and now Ilanov hopping in to finish things off. So there you go. Rylet not managing in the end to solo. But Ilanov showing that, hey, she is pretty capable as a unit, and her S2 damage is nothing to be laughed at. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe for more Epic 7 content. And until next time, take care.